Hello and welcome to the Day Zero update for January 11th, 2015. I'm Patrick Mifflin.
And I'm Filippo
And we had a pretty good week kind of sneak up on us this time. Quite a bit's happened because of CES, which, CES is one of those things that kind of comes and goes, and there are a couple of noteworthy things that usually happen, but it's never huge. And it was kind of that way this year, but there were some things of note to talk about. But first, we should probably talk about what we've been playing. One game that I think warrants special mention on for both our cases would be Drift Stage.
Yeah, I've been playing that quite a bit. We've only still got the alpha with one track and one car, but it's still a lot of fun.
That's enough. I mean, it will keep you hooked just trying to set better times. I still haven't been able to do that. I'm kind of stuck at 122.974. That expert ghost is just unreal.
Yeah. I'm wondering if it's deliberately set to be completely impossible. Just to make people try to go after it.
I don't believe that. I've come close enough to beating it to know that if I just nail that last section, that sort of uneven corkscrew, then I could probably beat the expert ghost.
Yeah.
Like if you see my current time running side by side with it, you'll just see a couple of key mistakes that kept me from winning that time.
Yeah.
It's just, like I said, that last damn section that you really have to be one with the analog stick and throttle going down that.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun. I mean, we're hooked on it, and we weren't really expecting the Kickstarter to launch as early as it did, but just over this past weekend, the last couple days, they launched it, and let's see, got it open in a tab here.
Yeah, it looks like it's doing pretty well. The last time I checked, it was they were like a little over halfway to their goal, and they've only been going about a couple of days.
And now they're at $22,000, so they're gonna fund. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
I kicked in $70 this morning.
Yeah.
And what can I say? I really wanted that glow in the dark T-shirt.
Yeah, that's they got some pretty nice swag for backers there. So
they really did. And you don't really expect that sort of thing from racing games, but it's just great to see. There was that new trailer that they launched where they kind of teased the third course they're going to have in the game, which is sort of a kind of a Japanese mountain type of setting, ideal for drift racing, and a soundtrack that definitely matches it if anyone's played Initial D in the arcades or imported it. That's definitely the kind of energy they're going for.
Yeah. It seems to me like they're firing on all cylinders with this game, and I couldn't be happier to see it.
Yeah, it's been great. I'm very impressed. The Kickstarter itself, I've linked to it on the Tumblr page. That's sp-patrick.tumblr.com, and I also posted a link in the hands-on preview that's over at smashpad.com right now, and there's a ton of new info on this game. I mean, they really gave us some stuff to look forward to, and to think that this is just a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for this game. I don't really participate in Kickstarter very often, and the few times that I have, it didn't really fund.
Yeah.
But this is something that I really, really strongly believe in. I'm having so much fun playing the demo, and every time they release a new trailer, it just gets me even more excited, so I had to support this, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this game develop further.
Yeah, this is the kind of stuff we want to see from independent developers. I mean, take the genres that big publishers aren't touching these days, and
really underserved stuff.
Yeah, really, and just serve the audience that really wants this stuff to happen. You might not make, might not sell 3 or 4 million units, but you'll do pretty well.
Yeah, 28 days to go, and they've almost funded.
Yeah. I bet by Friday they'll be, over their goal and probably.
I think they might be. I think they might be over their goal by Monday night.
Yeah. I'm thinking after all said and done, they'll probably have at least doubled.
Oh yeah, easily. And sounds like if they were looking for $30,000 in 30 days, they were making money hand over fist.
Yeah.
And, word's only going to spread.
Yeah.
It seems like they've got in addition to us, they've got a good chunk of the gaming media behind them really pushing awareness of this game.
Yeah.
So, Kotaku's been tremendous helping them out. A lot of streamers have been hyping them. So, there's definitely no lack of exposure.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping to turn out a hands-on preview of the game at least every time they release a beta update.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of... I don't know about you. It's been headlighting what I've been playing. What else have you been playing this week?
Well, Defense Grid 2 can't, have to mention that every time we do a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been playing the PC version of Final Fantasy IV.
How's that treating you?
I got to admit, I'm not really liking it.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know, it just doesn't feel right for some reason. And I know they changed all the way the boss strategies are supposed to work and all that stuff. That doesn't really bother me too much. But it feels like a blown up phone game, and that's not really a good thing in this case.
It is a straight dump port of a Nintendo DS game. They didn't really do much of anything with it except bumped up the resolution. And so, yeah, there were things that they could have done with it that I would have really preferred they had.
Yeah, because you'll see cutscenes where the scene will pan and there's no background, and it's like, oh, geez, really?
Yeah. They did not touch it up at all.
No. But maybe I'll go back to that and try to get through it. But it's it didn't really grab me.
It's a tough sell. Yeah. I would recommend it just because some of the stuff they did with the boss strategies I'm a big fan of.
Yeah.
But that's how I am. I'm not sure if that'll give it the staying power that it needs for you. But another thing you'll notice as you play through it further is the way that the level, I guess, structure algorithms are balanced. You're going to be going into the underworld segment with a team that statistically would probably be ready for most of the moon on the original.
Yeah.
And you're going to have a really hard time once you get down there.
Yeah. Yeah, I did notice that leveling seemed to be a little slower than I remembered it.
Yeah. Well, it's not that it's the leveling slower, it's that the algorithms have been completely rebalanced, so your party will be really strong by original version standards. But if you're applying it here, all those statistics aren't going to go nearly as far. And I did a recent comparison because I've been playing it on the PC as well as the PSP version. I did a complete playthrough of that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a pretty huge difference.
Yeah.
And if you just go on YouTube and look at parties on the PSP version or Super NES version, see what they're finishing the game with, and then you'll look at what you've got, probably a little further than you're at in the PC version right now, and you'll just be wondering what the hell they did with that.
Yeah.
Because, it's been... It's a change.
Yeah. I think that if I'm going to play through Final Fantasy IV again, I'm going to do the PSP version.
Yeah, that seems to be the main version anymore. It's the best translation it ever got.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of bonus content that isn't even in the DS/PC version.
Yeah.
I definitely recommend you try that one out, especially if the PC version isn't clicking with you.
Yeah. Well, I'm not out too much money here. We got it during the...
it was a sale.
Yeah, it was a sale one, so, try it out. And I still got Final Fantasy III to try out, and 8 is already a known quantity, and got 13 as well, so I'll have that to play.
Hey, you came away with a lot of gaming.
Yeah, the only one I didn't pick up was 13.2, and that's just because I ran out of money.
Yeah. I was in the same situation, so I can completely relate.
Yeah. So that's been my gaming for the week. How about yourself?
I've been kind of all over the place. I mean, everyone watching on the visual version of the podcast is watching me play. Kind of, I wouldn't call it a super play video by any stretch of Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link, but I definitely, I don't know, I'm just kind of tooling around on it, and it turned into a pretty quick run through the first half of the game or so, and I use some weird exploits and little things I've picked up from playing over the years. I don't know if any of it's going to be stuff that anyone doesn't know about. I doubt it at this point, but I was just having some fun with it, and
yeah, well, that's
just messing around, doing something a little different for this week's background video.
Yeah.
Another thing I've been doing is All Common Writers Writer Generation 2 on the PSP, which probably nobody listening to this, or next to nobody listening to this, knows about, but it's this really good, just old school beat 'em up with some RPG elements on the PSP. And it's another playlist that I'm doing on YouTube for the Building the List initiative. Its chances are next to none of ever being localized just because of licensing issues, but the more people can be made aware of this game, the better, because it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Another thing I've been doing is Suikoden, but there will be a little more on that later. It's actually involved with another podcast that we've got here in the works that I'm really looking forward to doing.
Yeah.
And so,
we'll talk about a bit more about that towards the end of the show, I guess.
Yeah. CES, though, back to that.
Yeah, there wasn't a ton of gaming news coming out of CES, but there were some notable things.
Yeah, it was, the things that did come out of CES were super interesting. Should we start with Nyko's head scoop for the PS4?
Yeah. Yeah, so Nyko's getting into the automotive mods category. No, actually, they're doing a 3.5-inch drive bay for the PlayStation 4, which is actually a really interesting idea. Lets you use, well, for one thing, larger drives, and generally cheaper drives, although you will have to pay for the data bank itself. But,
it's a hood scoop that holds hard drives.
Yeah, a single hard drive. I mean, if they wanted to make it bigger, they could have done a dual bay, but hey.
Yeah. That would be funny.
Yeah. I mean, you could pick up a 2 terabyte hard drive for like, $70, so that's,
And, before this generation's up, I'm sure I'll end up doing exactly that, or even more.
Yeah.
So,
that was an interesting little item, but it's actually interesting to see how Nyko is kind of evolving as a company. I mean, they used to be one of the most reviled accessory manufacturers, and now it seems like they're starting to turn themselves around.
Yeah, well, they're following the Mad Catz model, not necessarily with fight sticks necessarily, and that's how Mad Catz started. Was a guy named Mark Julio started there, and just helped reinvent them as an upscale arcade stick manufacturer just in time for Street Fighter 4, and that completely changed that company's fortunes.
Yeah.
But Nyko seems to be following a similar model of just starting to shift toward higher end stuff rather than $15 controllers that you buy when your friends are over for the weekend, and they probably break before you're done with them. I don't know if they're getting out of that necessarily, but they're definitely testing the waters in like I said, the more high-end stuff, and that's good to see.
Yeah, I mean, they do make some useful stuff, like their charge bases for PS4 controllers. Those are always handy to have. You can stack a couple of those, a couple of controllers on those, and have them charging.
I had theirs for the Wii. Yeah, definitely.
Yes, that. Yeah, we should talk about a little bit about Mad Catz though, because I think
they win the Insanity Award this year.
Yeah, I think they're taking this upscale thing a little bit too far at this point.
Yeah.
They had the $250 Android micro console, their Mojo as they call it. They had what else? Yeah, $200 fight sticks, which is pushing it a little bit, and a $300 mobile controller.
The Lynx 9.
Yeah, let's. I don't know. It looks cool. It probably works really well, but $300. I mean, most people don't even pay that for their devices. Period. So yeah, I know. It's like.
Yeah, it's.
I'm not sure what they're thinking, but well, good luck to them. I'm not buying one.
It looks great. It's super versatile. I would use it if I ever could get my hands on one. $300 though. And it's for mobile. It's for Android and iOS, so not every game is going to be using it. And that's probably what would be the sticking point for me. But
yeah,
at the same time, I completely support them. Churning out really interesting and off the wall stuff like this because at the very least, it's fun to look at, fun to watch in action.
Yeah.
Even if you can never own one.
Yeah.
But it's
so they're definitely
it's definitely noteworthy.
Yeah. They're definitely a bunch of cats that have gone mad at this point, so at least they're living up to their name.
And it's a lot of fun when they do.
Yeah.
So another one of those companies that's kind of reinvented itself, PDP. This is a little more in the conventional side of things. And they've done this before on the current generation. I guess we can say last generation now.
Yeah.
It's kind of in that gray area. They're releasing a micro switch fight pad with Mortal Kombat 10 branding. And the interesting thing about this is that it's the first controller that's going to be cross-compatible between the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One.
Yeah. And, this isn't really anything that they couldn't have done, previously. This was just a licensing thing here. It's not a technically impossible thing to do. But I'm really intrigued about the whole micro switch on a pad.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen that since, a couple of third parties have done it, but the only first party controller I remember that ever did that was the Neo Geo CD, which was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. I've gotten my hands on one of these, for one of the, I think it was a PS3 one. It felt really good. I almost bought it on the spot, but decided I probably shouldn't with the funds I had at the time.
Yeah.
I kind of regret it, but really, yeah, it's exactly what you're describing. It's basically the Neo Geo CD controller with 2 more buttons.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a lopsided Saturn controller, which is a good thing. I mean, it's a little bigger on the left for your hand, for the D-pad and analog. No, there's no analog.
Nope.
It's just the D-pad.
Yeah.
I could have sworn there was an analog stick on the one I tried out, but I might be mistaken. But yeah, it's this is a good place for fight pads to go, I think.
Yeah.
Especially as a legitimate alternative to fight sticks. That's really where they should be taking it.
Yeah. We'll see, if they use decent quality parts and if the price isn't too extravagant, this will probably be something I pick up with MK10.
Yeah.
Although, if they don't make a PS4 version, then that might defeat the whole point of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. They probably will.
I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think they were just really highlighting the Xbox One controller because of that cross-compatibility that's kind of unprecedented on that side.
Yeah. Well,
so, Razer's been up to some stuff.
Yeah. They've been... they just announced their Forge TV Android micro console, which looking like a pretty decent little piece of kit that you can pick up for $99.
Yeah, I did not actually know about it until you showed it to me earlier. The specs are rather impressive though for $100.
Yeah, $100, and you get a quad-core processor, decent GPU in there, compatibility with Android TV, so that's will give you media streaming and all of that. The really interesting part though is the PC game streaming.
Yes.
This is something that I do already. I have a very long HDMI cable that runs from my PC to my TV, and that's just
You're streaming it through an HDMI cable.
Yeah, it's just a little bit unwieldy because then I got the sound coming from behind me, and it's like, whatever. I think I'll for $99, I'll probably pick one of these up and at least be able to play some of the good Android games that have been coming out, and I can't play because I don't have a phone.
Yeah. This is pretty impressive stuff on here that I'm seeing. Now I'm not seeing an SD card slot on here. Is it memory expandable through the USB?
Usually Android TVs are, expandable through USB. Okay. But I think what does this come with? 8 or 6? I think 16 gig on board.
16.
Yeah, 16 should be enough. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to put media on here or anything like that. You're going to usually stream that.
I'm not putting media on my Note 3 either, but I'm kind of going through the space on it.
It does go pretty quickly, but
especially when you have the help of Square-Enix doing that.
Yeah.
I spoke last week on all the stuff I've been buying on their holiday sale, and I think it's starting to catch up to me.
Yeah. When games are getting to be half a gig each. The space kind of goes.
Android games are games now. They aren't. There's not that really.
We've moved past Angry Birds at this point.
Oh yeah. Which is still a ridiculous time sink, but I'm just going to put that out there. When you start up Angry Birds, your day is still done. It doesn't care what you think of it. You can be sitting there, I hate this fucking game, I never want to play it again. You'll bump the icon or something, and damn it.
Yeah, and then you're done for another hour and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tragic, but it happens.
Yeah.
So let's talk some VR.
Yeah, Razer also getting into the VR game with a $200 open source virtual reality dev kit. This is actually pretty exciting.
That's a game changer.
Yeah. I don't know how they'll do as far as adoption goes, but the fact that they're, pushing it at this price point is pretty exciting for everybody, I think, because that means that in the future when the actual headsets will release, we're probably going to see, decently affordable prices that, aren't going to break the bank, and it'll help adoption.
I bet Oculus and Sony aren't too thrilled with that price point.
Probably not, but at the same time, Oculus is doing stuff that Razer's OS VR isn't.
Yeah.
So there's there will be a premium market, I think, for Oculus. Let's just hope they don't decide to charge $500 or $600 for their headset.
Yeah,
that'll be a non-starter.
Just take it as far as they can in the opposite direction would be a disaster.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they I just think Oculus and Sony were at the very least in the preliminary planning stages of probably launching at $299 or maybe $249 at the very lowest. And if OSVR is selling dev kits at $200, then you could see $149, you could see $129, and those are mass market prices for VR. I mean, that's about as aggressive as you can get. And
$149 is almost in impulse purchase territory.
Yes.
You get it if you can get it under $99, then it starts becoming something you don't really think about. But $149 would be a fair price. Oculus, I would probably pay $250 for an Oculus.
Yeah.
Just seeing all the other stuff that they're doing with the technology.
It would have to be very planned for in my case, but I would definitely get an Oculus Rift for $250.
Yeah.
But I think this is really going to put the squeeze on them to get that to a lower price point, because and it might even put the squeeze on them to get it out sooner.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just the
Not
fact
that
that
I
we're
think-
talking about, VR here in 2015, and we're actually excited about it because the technology is actually at a point where it's viable now.
Yeah.
We don't have the headsets are still a little bulky, but nowhere near what we had back in the 90s. And there's not that immense delay between the time you move and the time something happens, which is really disconcerting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really takes you out of the experience, and that's, it's gone.
Yeah.
But we're at a point now where you can buy a virtual reality dev kit in 6 months for $200.
Yeah.
That's a game changer, if ever I've heard one.
Or if you want to spend $25, you could get Google Cardboard.
Okay, you're going to have to explain that one to me because I'm...
Yeah, the Google Cardboard kit, there's actually a dev kit that Google released. That's downloadable. And the little cardboard kit is about $25. You can pick it up through Google or through various other vendors. And it's a little fold-out, kind of like an origami kit with lenses and stuff. Turns into a little headset you actually stick your phone into, and now you have virtual reality through your phone.
So it's kind of like a much more simplistic version of that one that Samsung just made.
Yeah. It's a lot more simplistic than that. Yeah. But hey, for that price, you pick it up.
What phones does it support?
Pretty much everything.
Well, that in and of itself makes it superior to Samsung's.
Yeah. And Samsung only supports the Note 4, so.
Yeah, that was, and I knew about that when I got my Note 3. That was the kind of frustrating thing when I was at the store getting the phone, because I knew I'm saving $10 a month by not by going with the Note 3 over the Note 4, but I really wanted to try that.
Yeah, well, I don't think the Note 4 or the improvement is all that major. So
yeah, I mean, that was really the main feature that would have pulled me into it, and it would just be to try it out.
Yeah.
So I think I made the right decision, and if other manufacturers are experimenting with that, albeit in hilarious ways, and
there's actually a cardboard section in the Google Play Store where you can find all the apps that are supporting cardboard.
Oh, I have to see this. Wow.
So VR is a thing, and I think it's going to be pretty big this year. So I suspect by the end of the year we'll actually have 2 headsets released. It might not be.
Well, Morpheus has to be released because, it's like we were talking about on the weeks before PlayStation Experience. It was so far along in development, we thought that was what Experience was going to be about.
Yeah.
And I was kind of surprised when it wasn't, because a couple months before that, Shu Yoshida was saying that it was about 85% along. We'll have it this year.
Yeah.
And in fact, I'm sure it'll be a central theme of their E3 this year.
Yeah.
But as for Oculus, I don't know. It's in a weird place where it seems to be in a perpetual state of beta.
Yeah, kind of.
Like
John
everything
Carmack is the technical officer here, so he's
there. You go.
He's very particular about what he releases.
Yeah, I mean it almost seems like it'd have a soft launch, if anything. Like, we're just going to keep selling them in the form of the dev kits and just inch it toward being more user friendly, and then roll out software for it, and it'll. And that'll be the Oculus Rift. No launch event, no singular moment where it transitions from being an R&D device to actually being out there for the mass market. It's just going to happen.
Yeah, I think
that's just the impression I get from it.
But I have a feeling they actually want to launch this as a proper product.
I hope so. It deserves it.
Yeah, it looks like they're getting pretty close to final hardware at this point from what they were demonstrating at CES. The vomit induction has been completely fixed, so that's a good thing.
Until someone decides to weaponize Mirror's Edge.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. It's going to happen, so...
Oh, yeah. This is a very strong new technology, and you have developers out there who will use it for evil rather than good.
Yeah.
This has been proven time and time again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, look forward to that. Shall we talk about the big companies now?
Sure. Let's get into it.
So, Sony has come out and said they've sold 18.5 million PS4s. That's really an impressive number, whether they've been sold through to the consumer or just to retail, because it's not like there's going to be 2 or 3 million PS4s just languishing on retail shelves.
Yeah, and I doubt they're having trouble moving units at this point. They moved I think it was 4.5 million in just the holiday season alone. So,
and that was what kicked them up to that number.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see 20 million
by E3 time.
Oh, easily by E3. Probably, I would say maybe even 22 million by E3.
Yeah.
This is where you have to wonder, is this really the generation where non-gamers become the outliers? Because we're not even at peak production yet.
Yeah.
They're still selling systems almost as fast as they're producing them. And we have ridiculous numbers a year later, like 18.5 million.
Yeah.
What's going to happen when they ramp up production, or when they get down to, say, $250 price point in a few years?
Yeah, I think the numbers are going to spike at that point. But I'm wondering, who's really buying these at this point? I mean, nobody's. I don't think that non-gamers are actually going out and picking these up as media devices, because the PS4 is media.
PS4 as a media device is pretty terrible.
Yeah, it's not that great. I mean, I use it for a WWE network, and it's sort of kind of works. So,
and that's about it.
Yeah, and the interface is pretty bad. It's got a WWE Network has a watch list function, which sometimes decides that it doesn't remember that you added anything to it. So that's always great. I'm not sure if that's the PS4 app or if that's
is that the PS4's problem, or is it the network?
I'm inclined to think it's the network, but it still doesn't reflect very strongly on the platform.
But 18.5 million PS4s scarcely over a year later.
Yeah.
I don't think there's much doubt that that the PS4 is going to hit 100 million within its lifetime with numbers like that. And you were wondering who they're selling them through to. I just think we've probably created enough gamers in the last 8 to 10 years that that's who they're going to.
Yeah.
I really think I saw a thing on. I don't remember where I saw it earlier, but there was a mention that something like 65% of U.S. households have game systems in them.
Yeah.
And so that
doesn't surprise me at this point. It used to be, something that you wouldn't really want to admit, and now,
now it's just there. It's and I think that's fantastic, and hopefully that's a trend that continues, because how great will it be when pretty much everyone's a gamer to some effect or another?
Yeah.
I think we're coming up on that. I really do.
Yeah.
And it's not just it's encouraging because it's not just the mobile gaming, it's not just the casual gaming. You could say that there's a sort of simplistic appeal on the PS4 in particular because of all the indie outreach they do, but that's not diminishing the depth of these games by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, these are great games, whether it's a $5 or $10 indie title that you picked up on a whim. If you're playing those on the PS4, you already know there's a lot of meat on those bones.
Yeah. It's just adding depth to the PlayStation 4 library and just, making it not the system for, just the regular dude bro. It's the system for everybody.
It really is.
Mm.
Another thing you mentioned out of Sony is PlayStation Now. Some changes coming to that. Actually, they're already here.
Yeah. Have they rolled out yet? I thought that was next week.
I thought they did, but let me double check on that. I was pretty sure they rolled it out. Not quite yet. It will be Tuesday that they roll it out.
Okay.
So, in addition to their individual game rentals, they're going to have a sort of carte blanche service that will cost $19.99 a month or $44.99 for 3 months. It doesn't include every game on the service, but it includes about half of what they've already loaded up there. And I've looked at the list. It's not
spectacular, but
it's not incredible, but it's
either.
Yeah. And there's some good stuff on there. There's things I'd try.
Yeah.
A lot of it I've already gotten from PlayStation Plus.
Yeah. What are you thinking about the pricing, though?
It's a little bit on the steep side still, but it's a lot more palatable than what they've been doing.
Yeah.
I think that monthly cost over time needs to eventually get pared down to maybe $12.99.
Yeah.
And I still think they need to get like an $80 to $100 annual option.
Yeah. I'm thinking the way that it is structured right now, I don't feel like it's going to be something that people will just run monthly or run the 3 months all the time. I think it's something that people will, sign up for a month, play their
lapse
fill-up
a little
games,
while.
and then let it lapse. And when they get the urge for it again, they'll jump back in.
I really want to play this,
Yeah. Yeah. Because at $20 a month, it's a little bit of a steep ask to make a recurring payment. But if you can get it down to $9.99 a month, I think that would be more palatable for people. $12.99 at most.
You mean $99 a year?
Oh, $9.99 a year. That'd be great. That's never
I
gonna
thought you
happen.
said $99. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, $99 a year. That would be, or $99 a month. That would be pretty bad.
$99 a month, you probably need to have access to every PS4 game ever released as well.
Yeah.
But, that's never going to happen either.
Maybe one thing they could do is just implement a discount for PlayStation Plus subscribers.
Yeah.
So maybe $99 a year if you're not a subscriber, or $79 a year if you are.
Yeah.
It would soften the blow a bit, and it would, I don't know, maybe they think people don't need a new incentive to subscribe to PlayStation Plus because it's sort of reached that Xbox Live place where it sort of pays for itself.
Yeah.
And it sells itself. It just...
Well, I mean, if you're playing multiplayer on the PS4, it's a requirement now. So
yeah,
it's like
that's what I mean. You're not getting the complete system experience if you're not subscribing.
Yeah,
which a few years ago would have given me migraines just thinking about it. But I think I've kind of come to grips with it a little better than I thought I would have.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, clearly this is something that's going to evolve. I don't think PS Now is anywhere near where it needs to be. They need PS2 games on there. They need PS1 games on there. Hell, if they could figure out a way to do PSP, it would be even better.
Well, that was part of the original floor plan.
Yeah.
Everything everywhere.
Yeah.
So, that was what Kaz Hirai sold to the Gaikai people when they took over the service, and I don't doubt that it's in the pipeline.
Yeah.
Will I get that Ridge Racers 2 that I want? Stay tuned, but it's nice to think about.
Yeah. At least they're going in the right direction.
They really are. Back when they were first unveiling PlayStation Now and, sort of test pricing for it, if you will, that was a non-starter.
Yeah.
Like, I had no intentions whatsoever of ever touching that service with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
Just because it was so cost prohibitive.
Yeah. I tried one rental, and, I came away as far as the technology goes, it's amazing. But just that pricing structure is
not amazing.
No, it's far from amazing.
Yeah. What's the opposite of amazing?
Not amazing.
Sticking with the kind of streaming theme we got going here, Microsoft teaming up with Dish Network for Sling TV. This is obviously a direct competitor to PlayStation Vue. Still very much on the in the planning stages, but they've got some information in place, and it'll be launching pretty soon by all indications.
Yeah, they said soon. 12 channels in the base package, so that's, but it gives you pretty much all the basics that you'd actually want.
And they got ESPN.
Yeah, that's, for a lot of people, that's the selling point.
Yeah, we don't know for sure if ESPN is coming to PlayStation Vue or not. At least I've not heard anything. Yeah, we've got ESPN, ESPN2, TNT, TBS, Food Network, HGTV, Travel Channel, Adult Swim, Cartoon Network, Disney Channel, ABC Family, and CNN. So that's a pretty well-balanced package there.
Yeah.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. Plus, there's going to be additional, packages you could add to that if you.
Yeah, we've got there's a kids package with some Disney stuff, Boomerang, a few others, and then a news package of Headline News, Cooking Channel, DIY, and Bloomberg TV. So, so they've got a channel lineup in place. No word that I can see on local affiliates, which is a big thing for PlayStation Vue.
Yeah.
But it seems like a lot of the information on both services is still coming in, even though they're supposed to be launching pretty soon.
Yeah. I do like that this is going to be more multi-platform than PS Vue will be, by the looks of it. And Sling TV will be on mobile devices. It will be on Roku, desktops as well. So and Xbox One.
Yeah.
They didn't. I don't know if they mentioned 360, but I don't think that console is long for this world at this point. So.
I don't know. I think well, it's another note entirely, but let's see. Just looking up some stuff on PlayStation Vue now because I'm curious.
Yeah.
It says PlayStation Vue will launch with a package of around 75 channels per market. That includes local broadcast network affiliates, as well as cable channels from media companies Fox, NBC, Universal, Viacom. On-demand content will be there. There's 3 days of popular programming available at all times, plus the ability for viewers to save episodes of their favorite shows to the cloud and retain access for up to 28 days.
Yeah, so PS Vue seems more like a traditional cable package, whereas Sling TV seems more like just a bunch of channels.
Yeah. It seems like they really just kind of threw it together.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, but it's a good first step, and I think...
oh, absolutely.
It's great to see the cable market, the traditional cable market starting to erode, because they've had quite a stranglehold over your wallet for several years now, and it's nice to see that starting to loosen.
And if they play their cards right, it's win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
Like, this doesn't have to be them getting the shaft. It does have to force the discussion on net neutrality, because until we have that for certain, your Comcasts, your CenturyLinks, they could all just cut the legs out from under this whole thing.
Yeah.
Just by denying these services enough bandwidth to operate as they're supposed to.
Yeah.
But if they realize that their role in this is to be the internet service provider that that makes it possible to get those to get this IPTV service into people's homes, then I think we can hopefully arrive at a point where everybody's satisfied.
Yeah. And we'll get more information on the whole net neutrality part of it in a couple of months. The FCC is going to make their proposals, so we'll see how all that goes.
And hopefully this kind of paints a clearer picture for what's at stake for people.
Yeah. And
for the FCC in particular, because this is a service that is entirely dependent on net neutrality. I mean, there's no way to you don't have one without the other.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you'd be putting IPTV at the mercy of the cable companies, and that's just not going to work.
Yeah.
And history's shown, I think, that it wouldn't work.
Yeah. The cable companies, they're just evil. I think we can pretty much agree on that.
Yeah, it's not even that they're choosing to be, it's just that they are, like, by nature at this point.
Yeah.
But hopefully, the FCC will have their talk. We'll get what we need out of them, and then hopefully after that point, the cable companies will be on board and understand that they still have a very important role to play in all this.
Yeah, the role is going to shift, but they're still going to be in it.
Yeah. But it's still going to be there very much.
Yeah.
Nintendo now. What?
Yeah, Nintendo. A couple of bits of news coming out of there.
Yeah. They've straight up said Star Fox for the Wii U will be playable at E3. That's got to be music to your ears.
Yeah, it is. It had better be playable at E3 since it's supposedly coming out this year.
It's supposedly coming out before Zelda, which I would say puts it... I don't want to be too speculative here. Sounds to me like it would be on pace for an August or September release.
Yeah.
Roughly. And if it's going to be that far back, if it pulls back into the third quarter, it better be almost done by E3.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
And hopefully Star Fox for Wii U is not going to be the name for it. Nintendo needs to cut that shit out.
Yeah, let's not do that anymore. Please.
They really dropped the ball with Smash Brothers, and, they don't have well-named consoles anymore where you can just add Super or 64 to the names of the titles anymore, so they need to get it together and, actually name their games.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll probably end up just calling it Star Fox.
Yeah.
That would be the smartest thing to do.
I would not be surprised. In other news...
which begs the question if this is going to be a reboot or it's going to follow the canon or it's going to reset everything. Who knows?
I don't know. It seems to be one of those series where it kind of resets everything with every game.
Not really.
That's the impression. Huh.
They have reset it a couple of times, but 64 started a timeline that progressed through Adventures, Assault, Command, and I think then, the 3DS version of 64 came out again, so that doesn't really count.
Okay.
Yeah. They have had some continuity.
That's good. It'll be interesting to see what they do then.
Yeah.
In somewhat more disappointing news, Miyamoto himself has come out and said F-Zero, any new F-Zero game is off the table until there's some kind of unnamed controller innovation. I think the words he said was, until the right controller comes along. What's wrong with the controllers we have?
Yeah, the Pro Controller is actually quite good. Why couldn't you just use that?
Love to play F-Zero with that.
Yeah. I think the problem is the Pro Controller is not default with the Wii U.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine really playing F-Zero with the Wii gamepad. It doesn't seem like it would.
I can. Well. It just doesn't smile on my face.
Yeah.
The thought of it makes me kind of angry, to be honest with you. But I don't know. Miyamoto is very good at being coy about these things.
Yeah.
So either something is in R&D right now that he kind of is thinking about making F-Zero for, or he's just got something in mind. Maybe he wants this F-Zero to be so blisteringly fast that it's only manageable by direct feed control footage from your fucking brain.
Yeah, that maybe.
Who knows what he has in mind, but apparently it's going to be a little while yet before we have our next F-Zero game. It's,
What
we're still on TX.
What he's basically saying is, don't expect another F-Zero game until our next console.
More or less. That is one way to read it for sure.
Yeah.
And that in and of itself is kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
But moving from the big three into other gaming news, XSeed, they're in the news again this week.
Yeah.
How do they do it?
Oh, I've been just picking up every, decent Falcom franchise and
yeah.
else coming out.
Sent out a New Year's card that was kind of reminiscent of some of the stuff Rare used to do for Christmas. Although they weren't as subtle about it.
No.
They just said, okay, Memories of 2014, and they had all sorts of great stuff there. Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky, of course. I think Akiba's Trip might have been there. Just pictures from games that they released last year.
Yeah.
It said, confirmed for 2015. Just more pictures of games. Again, Trails in the Sky SC was on there, which put a smile on my face. And then they trolled the hell out of us. 8 pictures lined up, just obscured.
Yeah.
Kind of silhouettes. And over at NeoGAF, people have been sleuthing their heads off trying to figure out what each game is.
Yeah.
They've uncovered a couple of them. One was, I had the name until just a second ago.
One of them was E7. That much. That one.
No, it was E6.
E6. Okay.
Which is kind of interesting because there are a few possibilities here. They could be just licensing the Konami translation for the PS2 and PSP for release on PSN.
Mm-hmm.
Or they could have gotten the license directly from Falcom to retranslate the PC version, which is very peculiar. Let's see. So yeah, the second row of stuff that's already confirmed was Brandish, which is coming, I believe, next week to PC.
Okay.
Corpse Party for PC, Story of Seasons, and Trails in the Sky second chapter. The bottom row, people have found East 6, aforementioned. Lord of Magna was one that I was trying to think of a second ago.
Mm-hmm.
A new One-Chanbara. And then there's a thread going on at NeoGAF where people are kind of trying to sniff this stuff out, but I'm just happy to see E6 again because that was a really good game.
Yeah.
And the PC version is far and away the best version of it. So it's good to see that Falcom, or not Falcom, but XSeed are being completists about this sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it makes me really curious about what else they might have in the pipeline. There are still 5 images that haven't been identified.
Yeah.
So, Brandish is Tuesday.
Yeah.
Apparently. So more Falcom goodness from XSeed there.
Yeah.
They've just been on a tear ever since Marvelous Entertainment bought them out.
Yeah. It seems like they know who their audience is, and they're really willing to bring out the stuff that they want to play.
Yeah. They're really doing a good job of giving the Legend of Heroes series a second wind here in North America because it didn't really do so well the first time around. The Gagarov trilogy was brought over by Namco Bandai, and the localization was just piss poor.
Okay.
Which is it's a disservice for any RPG, but especially if you take into account what the Legend of Heroes series is.
Yeah.
It's almost criminal to give it a bad translation, a bad localization.
Yeah.
And so, XSeed has also expressed interest in retranslating those games. I'm not sure for what format, for what platform, necessarily, but I do know that the interest has been there, and
well, from what I've seen of what XSeed has been doing so far, they've been going about it the right way.
They really have.
They know the superior versions, do exist, and they're putting in the extra effort to actually do the translation properly, as opposed to trying to slapping, just quickly, porting the PS2 or whatever PSP versions out.
Yeah, they're definitely not going into Google Translate and doing it that way.
Although that might be entertaining.
It might be entertaining, but I've played too many bad translations over the years to kind of know what that would be like, and I'm at the point now. Just give me the good, serious translations.
Yeah.
There's still that rumor out there, Sen no Kiseki as well. It's kind of weird that they would release the Trails in the Sky games out of order like that, but they did. we did find out that they've trademarked Trails of Cold Steel, and all signs point to that being Sen no Kiseki if they're actually going to do something with that name. There is a way they can do this. I've been thinking about it pretty obsessively since word got out about that. Basically, you can take the entire, the 7 games that are out now in Japan of Trails.
Yeah.
You can take those and break them up into 3 story arcs. The important thing isn't that you get Sen no Kiseki before or after you've played the Crossbell arc. As long as you've played the Crossbell arc, which is Zero no Kiseki and Ao no Kiseki, before Sen no Kiseki 2, is what I'm gathering from all this. And so it almost seems like Trails of Cold Steel could be just a PS3 release. Let's get a major big ticket RPG out there, build the audience, and then release some of these other games as I don't want to say stopgaps, because major stuff happens throughout the entire series. So there are no games that are really considered stopgaps in the narrative sense.
Yeah.
But from a more, I guess, from a mass market standpoint, they would be.
Yeah.
And
although from what I'm gathering from XSeed, they don't really care about mass market. They're into serving their fan.
Yeah. Whatever the case, they're either going to be. They've still got Trails in the Sky the Third after SC comes out this year.
Yeah.
That is unless they get the PS3 license for that game, which would be kind of weird considering they haven't for the first 2 yet. That's a PSP game and a PC game. Not to put them on blast or anything, at the rate they're going, it's very unlikely that the PSP version of the third will make it stateside unless Sony gets really lenient about stretching out PSP production slots.
Yeah.
So the third would be a PC exclusive here in the US. The reason I'm kind of so focused on this is just because of the element of save data transfer between games, which isn't a huge deal, but there's some good stuff to be had.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to figure out how they would.
That's why I'm thinking they're going to stick with the PC, because that's a far more open platform, and it makes
it really would
transferring saves a lot easier.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing it with FC and SC.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm just thinking about as far as people who have been playing it on the PSP, like if they went through, did the 100% completion on FC, which is a pain in the ass in itself.
Yeah.
And then goes through and does 100% completion of SC, and then Sony pulls production support for the PSP in North America. Well, fuck me, right?
God damn it.
Because then they get to jump on the PC versions and do the whole thing again.
Yeah.
Which, I would probably do it, and I intend to do it actually, because I play through the whole games multiple times anyway. They're that good.
Yeah.
But just thinking about doing it from the perspective of someone who isn't necessarily sold on the series, but still has that completist nature.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's, it'll be interesting to watch, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, there will be ways around this. I mean, if you're dealing with PC games, you're also dealing with save game editing, which is not going to be hard.
That's true.
So,
you don't really see that sort of thing going on the actual, license side of things.
Yeah.
It would be weird if XSeed actually made a save data converter for PSP data to PC.
Yeah.
But, that would be kind of unprecedented as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, it would be kind of unprecedented, but they could do it. I mean,
it would be very XSeed. Doing it for the fans.
Yeah.
I could see it happening. It would just be very interesting, and just for the whole unprecedented aspect of it.
Yeah.
Moving on. So there's a voice actor for Disney who does the voice of Goofy. That's kind of a weird segue, but apparently he's been all over Twitter saying that everything that he's been told points to a 2015 release date for Kingdom Hearts 3.
This does not really surprise me all that much.
Yeah.
Square needs some big games this year, and, Type 0 would be probably one of them. But Kingdom Hearts 3, that's going to be probably a big moneymaker for them.
Yeah. And it's a bridge to Final Fantasy 15, which itself will be a bridge to all the stuff that they've got coming out under Yosuke Matsuda.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to know Kingdom Hearts 3 has been in the works for at least 3 years already.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely... I don't want to use the word relic in this sense, but it's just kind of a relic of the post-Mistwalker era at this point, as well as Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah.
So it seems like they want to get these games done right, but by the same token...
They also want to get them done.
Yeah, they want to get them done so they can move on and actually paint a much clearer picture as to the future of this company, which, from all indications so far, looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, Square-Enix, for their part, they're saying not so fast. Kind of hilariously, they posted on Facebook or on Twitter saying that there's been a big goof and that there is no release date locked in place for Kingdom Hearts 3. That's not saying that it's not going to happen this year, but it's probably just telling everyone, cool your jets, wait for E3, because we don't even know right now.
Yeah, that's probably more likely. Although, if they're at their stage now where they're doing voice acting, it's getting close.
Yeah, they're putting a bow on it.
Yeah.
It seems like this could be a pretty eventful E3 for Square Enix, much more so than we're used to from them in years past.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to see it, because they've been struggling for a little while.
Yeah. Yosuke Matsuda.
Yeah.
He's really getting that company back to where it needs to be.
Yeah.
So, to wrap up, I mentioned at the top of the show, I've been playing Suikoden for another podcast that will be rolling out later this month, hopefully. It's called Voice of Dissent, which is some would say peculiar tastes in games. I prefer the word distinct, but this causes me at times to just not get into games that are pretty wildly popular. Suikoden being an example of it. And so, we were kind of brainstorming about ideas for new podcasts that we can roll out to expand our catalog, our lineup, if you will. And so I came up with this idea that became what I'm calling Voice of Dissent, which was originally supposed to be called Patrick Hates Everything, because the idea was that I would just be playing the game while completely railing on everything that bothers me about it. But the way it turned out, I just kind of sat down, and the venom wasn't there so much as just the pointedness of it. You've seen I guess you could say, pilot that I've cut.
Yeah.
So you know exactly what I'm saying. And it was while I was sitting down recording it, and in the middle of that session, that I decided, hey, maybe Voice of Dissent would be a better name for it. Much more in line with not the temperament that I'd necessarily intended for the show, but the one that ended up coming out when I was actually playing and talking about the game.
Yeah, because it's not so much you railing on the game as pointing out things that just don't really don't really gel with you too much. Yeah.
And at the same time, like
acknowledging what does work. So
yeah. And so if I can maintain that throughout what I'm hoping will be a 12-episode first season, I think would be pretty solid.
Yeah.
I think that would give me a chance to get through a bunch of Suikoden, as well as
you don't
a good chunk of...
You don't plan to play through the entire game, do you?
Well, Suikoden is only about 10 to 15 hours, so it wouldn't be out of the question to suggest that I might. It wouldn't be the complete playthrough on the show, necessarily.
Yeah.
But it would be kind of bits of the game just as I play them.
Yeah, that would make more sense.
Yeah. I mean, and there's no way in hell that there'd be a full playthrough in recorded, narrated show form of the other games that I've got in mind for this season, because that would be... I'm not a fan of torturing myself. I don't know if I have another full playthrough of Ocarina of Time or Final Fantasy VIII in me for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I'm probably just about done with those two games, but I can go back and revisit them to the point of, being able to cut 3 or 4 episodes of a podcast without a problem.
Yeah.
Not entirely sure how I'm going to go about the Zelda stuff, because I'm sure a lot of people, even myself included to a point, would want a water temple episode. But that's one of those things you're just going to have to stay tuned for, because I'm not even sure how I'm going to be doing that just yet. I'm aiming at a January 22nd launch of this Suikoden episode that you've already seen.
Yeah.
And I'm really interested in seeing how the response is to it, because, like, it's one of those rare times, in stark contrast to this podcast, it's one of those where I should probably actually talk more.
Yeah.
There are long stretches where I'm just sitting there playing the game, but I don't really have anything to talk about, so that's probably something I could get better at.
Yeah.
But I think it came out pretty good, and like I said, I'm just really kind of interested in seeing how it develops as I cut more episodes.
Yeah. And Suikoden is a pretty good place to start, as it does have a pretty rabid fan base. So,
it does. It's wildly popular. I mean, it was really a mass tweet campaign that got Suikoden 2 brought back for PSN.
Yeah.
And then there was the news last week that there's probably a Suikoden 6 in the works.
Yeah.
Even though Konami sounded pretty surprised that the whole thing was as popular as it is, which...
Yeah, that was amusing.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
I mean, apparently that was news to them.
Yeah.
So, the first 2 games I don't hold in the same high regard that a lot of people do. And I actually made the comment on the show that it felt like a precursor to a lot of stuff that gets made with RPG Maker, except these aren't indie developers just splicing things together in their bedrooms. This is Konami.
Yeah.
And so you get a battle system where 99% of the time you get away with just mashing X until everything's dead, because the game's balanced in such a way, or unbalanced, rather, to where you can just get away with that. Your basic attack is good enough. By and large, you're not dealing with enemy damage output to the point where you have to worry about healing too much.
Yeah.
I mean, there were some times in the video where oh crap, but those were few and far between, and generally I could just mash my way through every battle. And toward the end of the video, there was I sort of foreshadowed for anyone who doesn't know about it, possibly the single most spammy thing that has ever been in a JRPG. I didn't play with it at all just yet, but that'll be an episode 2 thing.
Yeah.
So,
see if you can get through the episode using just that. Probably.
But at least I don't doubt that I could. In fact, it would probably be easier for me to do that than just to mash buttons, because And that's the only saving grace about this particular mechanic is that it actually does get the D-pad involved in the battle.
Yeah.
But no, it was a lot of fun to record, and I look forward to churning out the rest of this season. Like I said, right now I'm aiming at 12 episodes, probably 4 Suikoden, 4 Final Fantasy VIII, and 4 Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see how it goes overall, because plans can change. There's still plenty of time for that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that the show?
Yeah, I think that's the show. I mean, we covered a lot of ground today.
We did. It's been a great week in gaming news, and great thing about doing a podcast like this, you kind of become even more conscious about the stuff that's making you excited for what's to come in gaming.
Yeah, and I'm having fun, sharing it with whoever happens to be listening to this. It's really fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, just going over the show notes, I'm not really sure how to even describe it, but we've got a hell of a year coming up.
Yeah.
We really do.
Yeah. Yeah, February looks like it's going to be a little light, but yeah, it's
we got DOA.
Opening. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That's about it.
Yeah. Well, till next week, I'm Patrick Mifflin.
And I'm Filippo and
We'll see you next week.